Ashley, looks like we're good to go.
Yes, we are.
Okay, thanks. We'll give it just one more minute. Okay, we're gonna get going since it looks like we'll be okay as people trickle in terms of quorum. So good morning, everyone. I'm gonna call the Public Works Committee to order. And if we could share participation information, that would be great. Continue to meet via Zoom webinar, but by now I'm sure everyone knows how to reach council and how to participate. Just as a reminder that number to call City Council and leave a voice message is 406-552-6012, and you can email council at council@ci.missoula.mt. And if we could get a roll call for attendance, Ashley, please.
Anderson. Becerra.
Present.
Carlino.
Present.
Contos. Hess. Jones.
Present.
Jordan. Nugent.
Present.
Savage.
Present.
Cheryl.
Present.
Zika.
Present.
West.
Present.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ashley. And we'll check to see if there's any public in attendance to provide public comment on items not on the agenda. And it doesn't look like we are joined by anyone yet. So with that, we have minutes to approve from February 9th. Any changes to the minutes from anyone? Okay. See none, those will stand approved, and we will move to our first item on the agenda, and that is memorandum of understanding for the Midtown master plan, and Aaron Wilson will present.
Yeah, thanks. Good morning, council members. For just by brief introduction, I think I know everyone, but Aaron Wilson, the city's infrastructure and mobility planning manager. Part of that role is overseeing the Missoula Metropolitan Planning Organization, and that will be relevant to this request because what we're asking for is signature of this memorandum of understanding related to use of our MPO planning funds for the Midtown Master Plan. So I'm going to share my screen. I have a really short PowerPoint. This is a fairly routine administrative task, but I do want to give some background. I know there's some newer members of council, and the MPO can be sort of a confusing or confounding part of the work that we do in terms of the role and responsibility of council. So let me get my. All right, can everyone see this presentation? Should be for the Midtown Master Plan. Great. Let me see. All right, so today we have a decision for council to approve the mayor to sign the MOU for use of PL funds in the Midtown Master Plan. And so I'll give kind of a brief overview of what that MOU is and why we're asking council to approve it. Part of that, I want to talk a little, just very briefly about the role of the MPO versus the city and some of these decisions, because I think that's where some of the confusion comes in terms of the structure of the MPO and the city's role in that as the administrative agent for managing the day-to-day operations of the MPO. And then I just have a kind of a really brief update on the Midtown Master Plan and what we'll be funding with that. And then we'll wrap up with our recommendation for the decision, which is hopefully to get the MOU signed and get these funds committed to this project. So the request, is to sign the MOU, and really the purpose of this MOU is to facilitate the use of those federal planning funds. We call those PL. Those are the transportation planning funds that we receive as a region for transportation planning purposes. And there's a whole host of federal regulations, which anyone who's dealt with federal grants or federal funds know that we have to follow a lot of specific procedures for procurement and how we can use those funds. And so the purpose of this MOU is really to outline for the Midtown Association what all those requirements are and what we would be willing to and able to reimburse for the master plan and how we will manage that. Because we have a lot of documentation requirements, just making sure that we can get reimbursed out of those federal funds for this project. So we have $50,000 committed by the MPO for this current federal fiscal year, specific to the Midtown Master Plan. The MPO approved those funds with our annual work plan back in August and September. And so we had anticipated this project happening this year, had those funds committed. It's part of our overall MPO budget for the year. And so it's not part of the city's general fund, or it's part of our budget because the city is manages the administrative side of the MPO. But there are no other city funds. Well, there are other city funds going to this project through MRA, but in this request is just for the federal funds going to this. So I just wanted to make sure that was clear to everyone that these funds have been approved by the MPO. We just need to get the MOU signed and allow us to be able to begin reimbursing the Midtown Association for those expenses. So that's what the purpose of the MOU is and why we're asking for it to be approved today. Now the MPO, so as I mentioned, what we're contributing are PL funds. That's part of our federal transportation planning grants. The MPO, the work that we do as the MPO is broader than just the city. We're a regional transportation planning entity. It's federally mandated because we have an urban population greater than 50,000. A lot of this information, hopefully everyone has seen before through our general updates, but really the purpose of the MPO is to facilitate collaboration between the city, the county, and the Montana Department of Transportation to ensure we're collaborating and have a joint vision for how we're going to address transportation in this broader urban region of Missoula. That includes the city, but it also includes urban portions of Missoula County. There's a lot of state roads that we work with MDT and try to ensure that there's good collaboration and coordination. And we receive an annual allocation of federal funds to accommodate that transportation planning activity. So that pays for MPO staff, it pays for the projects we work on, the consultants that we hire, and often we contribute those funds to projects like the Midtown Master Plan or the Downtown Master Plan, these broader activities that are happening, but include a very strong transportation component. And so we're able to help supplement other funds to cover the transportation planning parts of these bigger master plans. So that's kind of how the MPO functions. So the city's role in that, where the MPO staff and management of all of those funds has changed over the years. Prior to our housing in Public Works and Mobility, we were part of Development Services. Prior to that, we were part of a joint city-county planning through the county, the Office of Planning and Grants. So we kind of move around, and the funding follows the MPO staff and is managed by our policy direction is handled by our Transportation Policy Coordinating Committee, of which City Council and the mayor have a role, along with county commissioners and MDT and Planning Board. So all that's to say that the city's role in these kinds of decisions is really just administrative. So the city approves and manages our contracts, but is involved in the decision-making about how those funds are invested, but that happens at TPCC. And so the city, again, their role is to manage the funds and help on the administrative side, which is why this MOU is coming through City Council, because it's part of that, just administration of those funds. But the decision to invest the 50K was made by TPCC as part of our annual work plan. So hopefully that makes sense to everyone. So now on to the Midtown Master Plan. I don't know if council's had many presentations on this. I don't want to focus on it too much because there will be a lot of activity around this coming up. And I'm not sure if Melanie Brock has joined us. She was going to try to make this meeting if there are any specific questions, or I can certainly pass those along and get answers. But essentially, this is a master plan for the area that's more or less bounded by 14th Mount on the north, Reserve Street on the west, 39th and Southwest Higgins, and then Bancroft. So it's really focused on the Brooks corridor and the surrounding lands around that, and including all of the Urban Renewal District 3. So a lot of land area. Most of the activity is likely to focus on that commercial corridor. A lot of those residential neighborhoods are fairly built out. I don't think there's going to be a lot of planning related to those areas, but it's important to understand the impacts and how they're connected. The planning process is sort of modeled on the downtown master plan to have a sort of vision for this area as one of the main neighborhoods and hubs in Missoula, and for it to be really implementation focused and thinking about how all of these different pieces, the land use, the economic development, transportation, equity, all of that plays into a really distinct vision for this part of town, so that we can make smart investments and coordinate all of our activities to achieve that master plan vision. And that's been really successful for downtown. And I think this area, it's seeing a lot of activity. There's a lot of potential here. We received a federal grant to help move along the Brooks corridor portion of this and the potential bus rapid transit. So there's a lot of potential, and having a good vision for how all this ties together, I think is going to help us in the long run. This plan also has a broad funding partnership. So as I mentioned, we're contributing from the MPO 50,000. The total project cost is estimated around 570,000. So there's also a big contribution from MRA as part of the Urban Renewal District. There are, I think, 30 or 40 private sector partners, business owners, banks, others who are involved in the Midtown Association, who are all contributing to this. So I think about a little over half or 2/3 is coming from public funding, like this $50,000 request, and then all the rest is coming from those private partners. So really important for this project. They'll have that kind of buy-in and participation from the private sector. And then just in terms of where this project is at, it's been in development for quite a while now, but the RFP for the primary consultant team has been issued. It's out right now. I'm expecting there to be a lot of interest. This kind of project in Missoula seems to be getting a lot of interest from firms all over the country. They've also are narrowing in. One interesting part of this project is they are partially pursuing, or they are hiring sort of two separate consultant teams, one focused on the overall master planning, and then the other focused on grassroots community engagement. And so that RFP closed a couple of weeks ago, and I think they're closing in on hiring a team to do that. And so there will be a really strong equity and community engagement component to this, which is really exciting to see. And so consultants should be hired sometime in the next month or two, and then the planning process will kick off over about the next year or so. And I'm sure you will be hearing a lot more from from that group once that happens. So just to wrap up, today's request again is just to approve this agreement between the city and the Midtown Association for management of those federal funds. It'll govern how our contribution can be used, how we'll be doing reimbursement, other requirements, and that it's only for the transportation elements of the master plan and limited to that $50,000 contribution included in our current transportation budget. So with that's all I have to present. If there are any questions or other thoughts from the committee, it does look like we have Melanie in the attendees list. So if there are specific questions to the master plan, I may defer to her.
Yeah, and if we can promote Melanie so that she can participate, that would be great, Ashley. Let's quickly go to, Sandy, could I allow Ms. Jones to speak? I know she has to leave pretty soon. So go ahead, Gwen.
Thanks. I know you're going to take questions on this, and I have to leave in a few minutes to attend a different meeting. I'll be gone for a little bit. But I sit on the Midtown Master Plan Committee and have sat in on those meetings for the last year and a half. And I just want to say I'm really in support of this. And as all of the funding is being pulled together to do this master planning, I just want people to be aware of the fact that this master planning is what creates the base for, frankly, creating more housing that will work well, that will have a good quality of life, which these are all long-term goals that we know we desperately need to attend to here in Missoula. And this may seem like, well, let's just get stuff building. Let's just get going. But frankly, doing it the right way means having this kind of planning level to create a good community that has good connectivity, good access to parks, good commercial areas. And so this is really, really valuable to do this type of a deep dive and this kind of planning effort. So that's the big picture. And the MPO is a big player in all of this because connectivity and having good transportation is huge, of course. So I'm very supportive of it. I'll leave it for others to put the motion on and to vote because I have to go. But I just wanted to say that since I do sit on this committee. Thanks for indulging me.
Thank you. Thanks. Sandra, go ahead.
Thanks. And thank you, Erin, for being a part of this. I do disagree with this Midtown Master Plan. I do disagree with a lot of, I guess, master plans with the city in general. I do have a question though. Have we had any private donations so far?
For the Midtown Master Plan?
Yeah.
Yes, I believe so. And I'll let Melanie answer that because she will have the specific details of what's been contributed.
You bet. Thank you so much for considering this today, for partnering up with us. We have quite a few, I would say, of maybe the 38, I could pull up the exact number, funders. There's about 30 businesses, a lot of Midtown businesses, a lot of countywide businesses are contributing to this. And it's been driven by the business sector. The Missoula Midtown Association was founded by Missoula area businesses that wanted to make sure the redevelopment of the Midtown economic corridor and housing kept up with the rest of the county and was done in a very deliberate and smart way for all of Missoula County to live, work, and recreate in Midtown. So quite a few businesses, from smaller size contributions from small retailers to our banks, Allegiance. We have major employers in Midtown that very much want to see connectivity, housing density increase, more offerings for all of their hundreds of employees. So Allegiance Benefit Plan Management is one example of one of the large employers. I'm trying to think of others off of the top of my head, but everyone from OS2 Office Solutions to insurance companies, developers, Woodbury Corporation, they've done 2 projects now in Midtown, have contributed to this. So we are very grateful that this started with the business sector, and then we had incredible support from community partners like Erin. We're really grateful that we have 3 city council members who've been a part of this, city housing staff, All Nations Indian Health Center. We have quite a few people in Mountain Lion. One other thing I want to throw out there, because it's worth always repeating, is the RAISE grant that the city has received for Brook Street is going to happen parallel to this. And we honestly could not have timed this better, that all of these resources are at the same time looking at rapid transit on Brooks. And at the same time, we could look at Brooks as the spine of this urban corridor core of Missoula, and at the same time figure out everything that we need to do to make sure we are growing smartly and redeveloping this centerpiece of Missoula in a way that the community wants and will be proud of. So Aaron mentioned one more thing, because I'm sorry, I'm a rambler. Aaron mentioned this community engagement, grassroots engagement piece that we parceled out of the urban and planning design RFP. We're really excited about that. This is going to be a master plan effort, unlike any other before, that we are going to do a deep dive into these neighborhoods and get underrepresented populations who've not participated in planning efforts to participate. And we're going to meet them where they're at. And we're really excited to show council this product and get everyone involved in it as it unfolds. So I'll stop talking, but happy to answer any other questions. And thanks so much for considering this today.
May I have a quick
Thanks for
follow-up?
joining us. Yes, you may.
So seeing that there are a lot of private donors and a lot of private companies that are really interested in this, is there a list that I can have so I can go talk to some of them? And are there any people who have represented unhappiness with this, that they're not happy, or I guess distaste with it?
No, we've not seen any opposition. And this whole thing, I mean, we're just launching what will be an 18-month community engagement piece. I'm happy to, as soon I could send to all of you our one pager that has all of the funders. And if you go to MissoulaMidtown.com, everyone is listed on our website who's contributed to this effort. But no, there is no opposition. The neighborhood is really excited. The neighborhoods, it's because this is a very, a large scope of a study area. Everyone's really excited to get this done and have the opportunity to be part of the community conversation, and businesses especially. There's a very healthy, active urban renewal district, urban renewal district 3 right through this area. So this is a really perfect time to talk about what next for Midtown. So it's been nothing but excitement hence far, knock on wood. But I'll follow up with both of those things so you could take a deep dive and look at who is at the table. And we anticipate once all the public pieces of this are expanded, there will be even more support as more businesses are saying, when your technical committee starts, we want to make sure we're there to talk about this trail near my business. And everybody's really excited to roll up their sleeves and dream, and also unpack everything that's happened quickly the last couple of years. This is absolutely being driven by the rapid growth of our community and wanting to be visionary thinkers and make sure it matches what our businesses and our residents need in this area.
Yeah. Thanks, Mel. Amber and then Mike.
Yeah, thanks. And thanks, Mel and Aaron. I appreciate that you said that, Mel, around the as our community grows. I mean, it's so important that we plan for this, and it is happening, whether people want it or not. It's happening. Our community's growing. So I appreciate the planning process. I'm sitting on the committee as well, although not as long as Gwen's been there. But as we grow, making sure our communities are livable and that we're building houses and we're building multi-use areas in that Midtown is really important. It also is going to be so helpful to us in our larger city goals. So I just wanted to comment that the committee is amazing. The engagement is amazing. I think it is to some degree been a bit of a forgotten part of our city, and it's in the center of our city. And so I think it's just going to be really important. I wanted to commend the committee as well on their really forward thinking with regard to community engagement. And I'm going to be interested to track the numbers, because I think that, you know, we have all of our regular tools that we've used, but and we'll use those again, I think, but there are some ways that they're looking into getting to populations that don't always engage, and being very thoughtful and purposeful around that. And I think that's going to be just make the process that much better. So I'm looking forward to it, and I am happy to support this today.
Great, thank you. Next I have Mike, and do remember that we need a motion, please.
First of all, I'll be happy to make the motion as presented in the referral. And then I'd like to comment to it if that's okay.
Go ahead.
You know, this Midtown falls primarily in Ward 4, and I've heard no negative complaints or concerns about this process. All I've heard is excitement. I also operate a business that falls right within the Midtown areas, and I live right on the border of Midtown. And this is a positive. You know, we've all talked about housing. We've all talked about ways the city should try and focus inward a little bit. And this Midtown corridor is such an opportunity. And we're not going to know exactly what the community wants unless we have a planning session. You know, we've got the growth plan in place. So this is the natural next step, and we should absolutely support it. I think a master plan right here makes perfect sense.
Thank you. Amber.
Sorry, I meant to lower my hand. I must have.
Okay. Sandra, did I see your hand up?
Yes. So I am not going to be in support of this today, but I will for the next few days. I also work in the area, and I do my shopping there and my eating out there. So I am interested in making sure that the private owners are happy about this. So I will do my due diligence and ask around, and I might change my mind on Monday, but for now I am voting no.
Great. Aaron.
Yeah, I just wanted to remind, I think this is really great discussion, and so I wanted to try to cover in the presentation that the decision on this funding being committed to the Midtown Master Plan was already made by TPCC. So those federal funds were committed to this project, and the action today is really just to approve the management of those funds through the city using this MOU. And so I just want to make sure that that's clear, that this decision is not committing city funds to the project or a decision about the use of those funds. It's more just the approval of the MOU for the city's administration of those funds as the administrative agent for the MTPO. So hopefully that's clear. Thanks.
You read my mind. I was just going to make that clarification as well. But Sandra, go ahead.
Well, with that being said, I guess I do change my mind if this already been approved and everything, and this is just clerical work or clerical vote, then I will be in support of it.
Great. Yeah, these are federal funds, and we're just approving the MOU at this time. Anything related specifically to the planning process will come later as we participate and hear more about it. Great. So we have a motion on the floor. I do want to make one quick comment, and that is that I completely agree with everything that has been said already. As someone with a planning background, I can tell you all planning best practices tell us that the best developments are the ones that coordinate land use and transportation, the environment. So absolutely, this is the way to do it right from the beginning, with a lot of public participation. And I also want to say that the funding for this planning process is pretty interesting because of how diverse it is. And I think everyone involved has been pretty diligent and really creative about coupling together all the different funding sources to make this happen. So it's a unique project in that way, and happy to support it. We have no public wanting to provide comment on this motion. So with that, we will take a roll call vote, please, Ashley.
Becerra,
Yes.
Carlino,
Yes.
Hess,
Yes.
Jordan,
Yes.
Nugent,
Yes.
Savage,
Yes.
Cheryl,
Yes.
Vasika,
Yes.
West.
Yes.
That is 9 yeses and 0 nos.
Great. We will have that on our consent agenda. And thank you, Erin and Mel, for joining us today.
Thank you.
Okay, and we will go to our next item on the agenda. Scott, should we take these all together or do you want to do one by one? Whatever is easier for you.
We can do them all together if that works for you.
Okay. So Scott Caldwell with several purchases that we have. Go ahead, Scott.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you, committee, for taking your time to consider these. So I'm Scott Caldwell, Fleet Director for the City of Missoula Fleet Maintenance Department or Division. And so the first one, the first referral I'm going to bring to your attention is the purchase of a large turf lawn sprayer for Parks Department. I move the committee and the council approve the purchase of one Toro Multi-Pro 5800G with Accelerate from Midland Implement of Billings, Montana for $60,187.37. This is a cooperative purchase through Sourcewell. The budgeted amount for this was $80,000 and we come in well under budget at $60,186.37. So this was approved in the FY22 budget for Parks Department. They actually have this money in their budget because of the cost of the machine, though we need to bring it through council. As you can see in the attached narrative, the reasoning for purchasing this piece of equipment is because of concerns with the Fort Missoula turf. And this piece of equipment was recommended through a third-party audit. And they did deep root studies in the turf out there, and they found that it was imperative to increase fertilization to biweekly and using a microdosing liquid fertilizer. Last year, they borrowed cemetery's unit in the application process. It resulted in exceptional increase or better turf out there. So I bring that to this committee and ask for your approval. So that would be the first one. So the second one. So the second one is I ask you that this committee and the council approve the purchase of one Dodge Ram 1500 SSV from Billion Dodge of Bozeman, Montana for $36,681. And this is for wastewater treatment plant. This purchase was approved in the CIP and vehicle replacement program or growth program. This is a new request for FY22. The budget that they put out for this was $33,750. It came in over budget at $36,671. That is pretty consistent with what's going on in the market right now. And just being able to find equipment right now or vehicles to buy right now has been a project, I have to say. So I'd ask you to approve the purchase of this for wastewater. This would also be funded through wastewater. This wouldn't be coming out of the general fund. The third one. So this is ask this committee and the council to approve the purchase of 3 more Dodge Ram 1500 SSV from Billion. But then there's also the addition of the police package on this so these come in at $39,607.25. These trucks are replacing 3 older trucks in the police fleet. 2 of the older trucks will have lights and police equipment removed and will remain in the city fleet and used in a lesser role. The third one is replacing a total vehicle that was in an accident. You probably saw it in the newspaper. This is the one that was actually hit on the railroad tracks. So this purchase was approved in the CIP. in the vehicle growth and replacement program. These purchases come in under budget. The budget for each one of these is $45,000. The actual cost is $39,607.25. The remaining budget will most likely be used to install lights and sirens and decals and other police equipment on these vehicles. And the last one that I'd move this committee and the council approve the purchase of 7 police interceptor explorers from Duval Ford in Jacksonville, Florida, for $48,640 each, totaling $340,480.56 for all 7. So background on these, we were going to purchase Dodge Chargers this year, but the manufacturers cut off ordering on the Chargers before we actually had a chance to do that, because of the state bid came out in December. The manufacturer actually cut off ordering Chargers early December, and the state bid didn't come out until late December. So we actually didn't even have a chance to purchase Dodge Chargers. This purchase was approved in the CIP and part of the vehicle growth and replacement program. These vehicles will replace older police vehicles in the fleet, and the older police vehicles will be sold at auction. Since we were going to purchase Chargers with this, we were going to, the budget was $45,000 each. This does come in over budget at $48,640. This is a cooperative purchase through the state. With that being said, we are over budget, but in the total, the CIP is going to be well under budget. So we have money in the CIP to cover those costs. It's not going to make us over budget in the total CIP.
Great. Thank you, Scott. Do we have questions? Daniel.
I was just curious if we know what sort of fertilizers and liquids the sprayer is going to be using, like what specifically we're going to be spraying, like what brands and stuff.
I do not know that. I can reach out to TJ Machado at Parks Department and I can get back to you on that, but I don't know that as the fleet manager.
Yeah, that would fall under Parks, but we can find out. Kristen.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Cowell, for that information. And I am compelled to approve all of it. My question is how maintaining a large piece of grass kind of fits in line with our climate policies. Grass is a really water intensive plant. I know it looks great. I know it's kind of part of the features of that area that make it what it is. I do also have concerns that we're entering a significant drought and we have a lot of grass to keep green. And I'm not in favor of keeping a bunch of grass green. I think it's a waste of a really precious resource. And so I guess my question is there any movement to having less grass to maintain in our city? Thank you.
I don't think that this is a question regarding the purchase of the trucks themselves. And so I would encourage you to ask the parts department, as they know what regimen for fertilizers and what their turf maintenance schedule looks like and what products they use. So let's coordinate a response to that through Parks. And quickly, because we're running out of time, but I do want to get your questions in. Heidi and then Amber.
Mayor, did you still need a motion?
Yes, I do.
Okay, I will make the motion. And then I just had a quick response to follow up on Kristen's question. I believe these were for the playing fields out of Fort Missoula. So it's not just regular old grass, if that makes sense. Like it has to perform to a certain standard. That's just what I recall from our budget discussion earlier in the summer. So thank you.
And we will note that so we can ask Donna or get that answer to all of you. And Amber.
I'll just add quickly, there are some pilot projects with different fertilizers. So Daniel, you and I can chat about that, or you could chat with that to Parks about that. I think those are important questions. I can't speak today. And then Kristen, I would just say that I think I appreciate your comments for sure. Grass is very high maintenance water wise. We also have a lot of user groups that are very invested in Fort Missoula and a lot of money in that to begin with. But I would say let's have a further conversation about kind of an overall, we need an overall strategy on something like that, and that Parks can get back with you with the numbers and things like that around acreage and water usage and things.
Great. That sounds like a good idea. Mike.
Yeah, just quick clarification. Is the motion to approve the requests in 3.2, 3.3, 3.4, and 3.5 all at once?
All
Perfect.
at once, yes. Unless you would like to separate one of them, but the idea would be to do it all
I do not.
together.
I just wanted to clarify.
Okay, great. Thank you. And we have a motion for all the items on the agenda for purchases and no public to provide comment. So with that, we will take a roll call vote, please, Ashley.
Becerra,
Yes.
Carlino,
Yes.
Hess,
Yes.
Jordan,
Yes.
Nugent,
Yes.
Savage,
Yes.
Cheryl,
Yes.
Basika,
Yes.
West.
Yes.
That is 9 yeses and 0 nos.
Great. Thank you, Ashley. And that will be on our consent agenda. Thank you, Scott, for bringing this forward.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, everyone, for your questions. We'll get some answers. And with that, we will be adjourned. Thanks.